Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 6th AMBEC, the Annual Management, Business, and Economic Conference. First of all, let me welcome the Honorable Director of Polytechnic Negeri Malang, Insinyur Supriyatna Adi Sumingyo, the Honorable Dr. Kurnia Ekasari as the Vice Director 1, the Honorable Dr. Jaswadi as the Vice Director 2, the Honorable Dr. Anggit Murdani as the Vice Director 3, the Honorable Professor Ratih Indri Hapsari as the Vice Director 4, the Honorable Dr. Narafni Eltivia, Head of the Accounting Department, the Honorable Zubaidi MPD, Head of the Business Administration Department. Welcome, all participants. All thanks to God that we can attend today's international conference. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Arham, and I will be your MC for today's conference. The theme for this year's conference is Circular Economy, the role of accounting, management, and business in achieving sustainability goals. Our agenda today includes opening, keynote speaker session, Q&As, best presenter announcement, and the last one is closing. Next, we are going to listen to our national anthem. For all participants, would you please be seated straight once you hear our national anthem? Thank you very much. Next is the opening speech from Vice Director 1, Polytechnic Negeri Malang, Dr. Kurnia Ekasari. The time and place is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, respected speakers, academic, researchers, and participants. Good afternoon and warm welcome to all of you to this 6th Annual Management, Business, and Economics Conference. It's my honor on behalf of Director Polytechnic State of Malang and as a Vice Director of the State Polytechnic of Malang in the academic affair to welcome you to this important gathering hosted by the State Polytechnic of Malang with the theme Circular Economy, the Role of Accounting, Management, and Business in Achieving Sustainability Goals. This year's conference take place online, reflecting our commitment to maintaining the spirit of collaboration and knowledge sharing, even in these challenging times. Our primary aim is to bring together researchers, practitioners, students, and representatives from civil society organizations in a scientific forum. Here, we will have the opportunity to share insight, discuss theoretical advancements, and exchange practical knowledge about the innovation that are shaping the fields of management, business, and economics. More specifically, this conference is designed to serve as a platform for robust discussion and to accommodate dialogue among researchers in the diverse fields of business, management, and economics. The shared space allow us to foster new ideas, debate existing paradigms, and collaborate towards sustainable solution. We are delighted to have participants joining us from several universities, diverse academic backgrounds, and various research fields. Your presence here today, whether as a speaker or audience member, contributes to the richness of the conference and the vibrancy of the discussion that will unfold. I'm confident that this event will be a valuable experience for all of us, enabling us to deepen our understanding and contribute to the evolving landscape of sustainable development. Thank you for your participation and support. I wish everyone a fruitful and inspiring conference. Let us begin this journey of exploration and learning together. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kurnia Ekasari. For the seminar today, we will give 2 prizes for the best question. And in the panel session, we will have 5 best presenters for each panel. The awardee will be given e-certificate for the best presenter and will be announced at the end of this event. Next, we are going to the main event. Our discussion will be guided by the moderator, namely Dr. Nur Indah. Dr. Nur Indah, the time and place is yours.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, MC. Good afternoon, everybody. Alhamdulillah, all praise be to Allah for all His blessings. The Honorable, the Director, Insinyur Supriyatna Adi Suwigno, Vice Director of Academic Affairs, Dr. Kurnia Ekasari, Vice Director of General Administration and Finance, Dr. Jaswadi, Vice Director of Student Affairs, Dr. Anggit Murdani, Vice Director of Cooperations and Development, Professor Rati Indriapsari, and the Head of Accounting Department, Dr. Nur Afni Altivia, the Head of Business Administrations, Dr. Zubaidi MPD. I would like to extend a warm welcome to all distinguished speakers and participants. We have 3 speakers today, Dr. Muhammad Mahmudul Alam, Dr. Elvia R. Sauki, Dr. Wahyu Jatmiko. Your participation here emphasizes our common dedications to include sustainability into our activities and realizing a more circular economy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 6th Annual Management Business and Economic Conference 2024. Bismillah, let's open this session in the name of Allah. I'm Nurinda. I'm honored to be your moderator today for today's conference about circular economy, the role of accounting, management, and business, and achieving sustainable goals. Please allow me to quickly discuss the circular economy before we get into today's sessions. A circular economy, in contrast to the conventional concept, which is take, make, and dispose. A circular economy more emphasized on long-term planning, waste minimizations, and the development of technologies that allow resources to be continuously recycled back into the economy. Today, we are going to look at the connections between circular economy concept and accounting, management, and company practices. Our objective is to figure out how circular economy helps achieve sustainability objectives and what tactics, what can be done to increase their performances. We have honor of hearing from Dr. Muhammad Mahmudul Alam. Thank you for joining us. We have honor from Dr. Yes. Assalamualaikum,
Alhamdulillah,
Dr. Yeah.
Assalamualaikum and
Walaikum.
good afternoon. I
Yeah.
hope you can hear me properly.
Yes, clearly. I can hear clearly. Can I call you Dr. Alam or Dr.
Mahmud
Mahmudul?
is fine.
Mahmudul, okay. Mahmud, okay. Yes, thank you very much for joining us. We have honor actually hearing from you today. Dr. Mahmudul is an associate professor at the School of Economics, Finance and Banking, and a senior research fellow at the Economics and Financial Policy Institute at the University Utara Malaysia. A high level of summary about sustainability practices in business for sustainable future in Indonesia will be given. But please allow me to introduce you, Dr. Alam, to the audiences. Dr. Alam is currently ranked the top in the accounting and finance researchers category in Malaysia by the AD Scientific Index 2024. He will also honored by the BDRC USA as one of the top Bangladesh development researchers of the millennium. I really appreciate this is such a great achievement, Dr. Mahmudul. Dr. Mahmudul also has received several awards from Elsevier, Emerald, Wiley, and the Web of Science. Dr. Alam has published more than 190 journals, articles, and has served as a guest editor or regular editorial board member for 24 international journals. This is a huge number, Dr. Mahmudul. Dr. Mahmudul also has more than 2 million readers on various online repository platforms. Without further ado, I would like to invite you, Dr. Mahmudul, to start your presentation. Time is yours. You have 40 minutes for presentations, and then we will have a Q&A session for 15 minutes. Time is yours.
Okay. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu. Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah.
Distinguished chair of the session, moderator, and another two speaker. And I see around 150 attendees in the session. Thank you everyone for joining. And I also very much thankful to the organizer to invite me for this session. And the topic is very interesting. The topic is the circular economy. And if we look the issue just before.
So I'm sorry to interrupt you, Dr. Mahmudul. Could you please turn on the camera, please?
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay,
Doctor.
thank you. Okay, you can see the slide. Huh? So before I start the topic, I just want to give a very little idea about the issue that SDG. We initiated SDG in 2015, end of 2015, and then at the beginning of 2016, every country started planning the SDG. And then we already spent 8 years. Our journey with the SDG is already 8 years. But the progress on the SDG is a real question now. And to fulfill the overall objective of the SDG, we have another 6 years. Okay, so meaning that we already spend more than half of the time of SDG journey. So this is a good time to check and return back our evaluation process or our performance on the overall SDG target. And regarding this, the conference is a very good initiative to check how the Indonesia is doing on this matter. So today I just look a few issues matching with the theme of the conference and try to give some recommendations so we can achieve the SDG target within the time frame. This UN decided the target. Previously, we have the Millennium Development Goal, and then many countries failed to achieve that. And then we come with a new policy, the SDG, and already we passed more than half of the time. So let's see the Indonesian case. And here are also a few other things that arise, not only the circular economy, the concepts evolving very fast. And there are many concepts that make confusions among the stakeholders. One of the concepts is the green economy. And then it's a very broad concept. The overall economy should be green. And then we talk the sustainability practice. Sustainability practice is just within the practice. And it has also not only the monetary issues, but also big aspects is the social issues.
I'm sorry, Dr. Mahmudul, to interrupt you. It seems that the slide has not moving yet.
Yes, I have not moved yet.
Oh, yeah. All right. Okay, bang. That's fine.
So the issue is the green economy. The overall the economy should be green. And then the issue comes the sustainability, sustainable business. And then we see the circular economy. And then the circular economy, green economy, sustainable economy, these are similar concepts, but make lots of confusions among the stakeholders. And the stakeholders looking from their own perspective, and their perspective is still very narrow. So we just go through from the macro perspective to the micro cases, the industry, and then academia. So as it belongs to the whole society, the economy, everyone has their own role. So today I just try to highlight some issues regarding the macro, industry, and then academia. So if you look the Indonesians' journey on the sustainability, it's very important for the Indonesians to achieve the green economy plan, because Indonesia is one of the highly populated country and the largest economy in the ASEAN. And we consider it in a leading position in the ASEAN place, or also can make a leading role on all over the developing countries, because it has vast resources and it's also at the same time vulnerable for climatic matter. So government already take lots of initiative here. And that initiative started not after the SDGs long ago. The Indonesian government's policy regarding the sustainability or green evolution started since 1970, 50 years back. So government initially at that time, 1970s, government took the initiative of national parks and early regulation. They set up the national parks and consider the environmental issues. And then in 1990s, consider the sustainable development paradigm. And at that time, we also see the business also consider the triple bottom line. And the first time the environment come in the notation of in the scenario. And then later on, 2000s, government start following the green growth strategy. And that's time first the sustainability concept arise. And then in 2007, look the climate change in the scenario. Government or worldwide set up the National Climate Action Plan. And then government also signed in the Carbon Development Initiative. That's the historical context. So it's not the journey started after SDG, but rather than 50 years back. And then in the current scenario, the overall the macro cases, the government's target to set up 23% of energy mix by 2025. And then Indonesian government focuses more on solar and geothermal capacity to make more renewable energy. And here, if you see the Indonesian economy is widely depends on the palm oil, is the largest palm oil producer of the world, and it's claimed that the palm oil production is in sustainable manner. That means it initiate the use like 2.4 million hectares of certified sustainable palm oil plantation. That's the largest in the world. And then if you look the other sectors, like the ecotourism sectors, which is a big portion in Indonesian's economy, and also created lots of jobs for the overall employment sector. And they look for the ecotourism as the sustainable tourism. So if you look at the macro perspective, rather than the just looking for the industrialization or industrial production, the other sector also has a big contributions on the overall economic sustainability or green economy. And then if you look the future of the overall national strategy, the government decided to make net zero emission by 2060 or as early as possible. And here comes the circular economy. The target is to reduce waste 30% and recycle waste 70%. So it will be net zero, but it's a very big ambition. It's a very big ambition for the government, for the nation, and for the world also. Every nation has a big ambitions regarding the net zero emission, regarding the circular economy or green economy. And then here also a few other things the government initiated to achieve this net zero emission. Government focused on infrastructure development, green infrastructure, including the transportation sector, overall energy supply, and then maintain a good reserve of the forest. And then if you look the overall sustainability, that's also have another two paradigms. It's not only just the money, economic growth, it also has the environment and the social aspect. The social aspect is a big chaos around the world, especially the inequality, multiple aspects of inequality. It's not only just the wealth inequality, rather than the access of the resources, even access of the facilities, basic facilities, including the education. We observe it during the COVID time. There's access of the internet is also very widely disparate among the population. So inequality has many forms here, and government initiated to reduce the inequality and ensure the more inclusion in all aspects of the society. And also the Indonesian government initiated it from the very back, and they try to become the leading positions in climate action, especially the leading position in the ASEAN region. And ASEAN is a political geography. So here the countries are nearby, border countries, and there are many climatic issues, environmental issues that make problem among the countries. So for an example, we see the haze. The haze started from somewhere Indonesia, and then it's come in Malaysia. And there is some political issue among the leaders that who is the responsible for this haze. But the issue is, it's not the responsibility, rather than who is suffering for that and how can we solve this issue. So that's a leadership issues, that intergovernmental discussion and initiative is very important, rather than just blaming from what is the sources. So Indonesia has taken a role as a leadership role to control the climatic matters in this region. And in the vision of net zero by 2060, when the country go for the sustainability practice in the macro level, it will create lots of new jobs. And that's very essential for Indonesia, because Indonesia is a highly populated country. And young people need job. There are lots of people entering in the job market every year. And then this job creation should go through in the green job creation, in the green job market. And according to the ILO estimation, by 2030, only the green economy can create 24 million new jobs. And the new job go through the green practices in different sectors, including the renewable energy, then agriculture, ecotourism, and also environmental consulting. So if you just look on a very small factor, one of the small side of the overall energy industry, the renewable energy or the solar energy can create 200,000 jobs by 2050. And then this is the estimation that what may happen in future. And to catch this estimation, to evaluate, government already initiated lots of issues, including the skill development, national skill development program, and vocational training program. I hope your institution also offer this curriculum, and this will create a big job in future. And we are working, academy is working to create the skilled people for that job. But I'm coming on the challenge on this issue later. But this is the opportunity. And then if we go through the business, the industry as a whole, there are lots of opportunity created from the macro to the micro perspective. In the industrial perspective, many sectors has scope to create new business and also replace their existing business. So far, the issue is we are talking about the industry. That means the largest scale of the corporation. But if we see there are lots of startups and the SMEs coming, those who are also going through the green practice, green business idea. And their process, we actually not consider them in the capital market or any other big measurement. But if you look the micro scale or SME scale, there are also very big scope working on the green practice or sustainable practice. And the government has designed lots of business program, incentive, training, and also subsidy policy for the startup or SMEs go through the green initiative. And if you see the investment or the financing of the business, Indonesia has a big already showed a very big interest on the green financing. So in 2021, the investment was 4.6 billion, and Indonesia has a very big sukuk market, green sukuk market and green bond market, and business has also potential to generate the fund through green project. And international collaborations, World Bank and ADB also jointly work to financing the business on their green project. And then it's come the scope of the management. We already talk about the circular economy 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years. And then now is the issue of the supply chain, how supply chain will be more green from the source, backward linkage and forward linkage on from the source to the customer. Everywhere there should be a transparency, and the business try to manage it to trace how much emission they create on every layer of their production or the whole supply chain. And then previously, we see the CSR is like a philanthropy activities. But now CSR is not just a side activity, it's a core in the business. In this integrated model, CSR, corporate social responsibility, is the front line of the whole business. The business itself should be responsible. It cannot create just a small portions of their donation as a CSR. And then there are lots of reporting issues here. Business try to report, especially the corporations reporting based on few models, GRI model or ESG model. They start reporting. This is the initiative they have taken, but the challenge is coming. I will take later, talk about the challenge. And then the green HRM practice, the corporations and the other business, including the other organizations, including the academia, they also train their employee and develop their culture, workplace culture, the green way. So within the organization, the green leadership growth. already initiated in the organizations. And then overall, the governance is become more transparent and responsible governance. Those who care more stakeholders and look the long-term value creation. And beyond the management, even the marketing, the customer side, the customers are more now environment concerned. They look the green product, and then the brand creation, also brand loyalty, also focus on the emission green issues. And then business also need to disclose their report, how much emission, how much total environmental impact on the product, both from the supply chain, backward and forward linkage. And then consumers are also learning on the process, and they create a pressure on the business to practice the green. And then comes the accountability. The accounting, there are many ways. Accounting is the counting the green practice. So they take the initiative to calculate the overall practice, sustainability practice in the business, and measure it. It's a big challenge. There are lots of challenge here to measure it, manage it, monitor it, and present it in a acceptable as well as understandable format for all the stakeholders. Therefore, is come here the environmental cost accounting, environmental management accounting. Then they also try to measure the full environmental life cycle of the product. So the social cost through a product life cycle from the backward and forward, from the beginning to the end of the whole life cycle of the product. And then come the natural capital accounting. And I'm not telling that that's show everything very clearly, but the issue is they are just trying. And if you look the accounting, there are many aspects is natural accounting, especially the agro farm. So the tree is their asset. So how they calculate it, there are lots of questions on this matter. But so far they are trying business showing that they are concerned about the sustainability. And this is a big challenge, that this transition trying to represent properly on the sustainability or their engagement in green practice is maybe many cases we see this is an eyewash. And there's a question that they are really doing or not. And also it is a big challenge for the business as well as the regulatory authority to monitor it. So the challenge come from the different aspects, especially from the business perspective. The business stakeholders, the key stakeholder is the shareholders, those who are here to make money. And everyone, the business means they are here to make money. It's not the social business, though the social business is not in the main form. We can say the almost 100% business is profit oriented. So the business come here to make money. And then when they look the money issue, their high concern is the cost cutting. And then if they look for the green practice, that causes huge cost in terms of investment, recycling, or reducing fiber practice, or even the reporting. And then finance is a big matter. And if you look for the very top issue from the bird eye view from the corporate sector, the CEO and the management role is to show the profit to ensure their position. And when they highly focused on the profit margin, dividend, practicing the green issues become very difficult for them. And also in this region, we are now lack of the capital. We are not the capitalistic country. And our technology, we borrow the technology from the developed nation. Our access of latest technology is not that much. It's very difficult for us to change a big infrastructure for their business. Business cannot change whole the industry so rapidly. And then beyond the business, there's a social issue. We are in the transition phase, and then truly we are not ready to psychologically accept many things. The society is not ready to accept many things, including the social inclusion. It's like a paperwork, community engagement. We are trying at our best, but it's not at the level of a developed nation. Our inclusion is not in all aspects, it's a holistic way, but in some cases only. Suppose if you look at healthcare, then you can realize that healthcare, private sectors and public sector, and the mass populations are deprived in the top level of healthcare system. And that's also for the developing and developed country everywhere. Then social equity, we cannot ensure this because many cases we cannot monitor it. Business we can monitor. It's a figure business by law, by default, they need to report the data. But social justice has no data. And this is a big challenge for the whole society. And then the data is not reliable. It's very unfortunate that the developing countries, our data, many cases our data is not reliable. And we cannot rely on the data given by the business or the data collected by the government, they're reporting. There are lots of political issues, agenda. We cannot report all the data. And then the developing countries, here data is a big problem. So reliability of the data and the transparency is a big challenge. And even in case of the business, I'm coming the issue, how can we go on the business the recommendation? So to overcome these challenges, the government at the macro level has taken some initiative, but I'm focusing on to emphasize on this initiative further. Suppose the enforcing the existing regulation, there's some regulation, and in the developing countries, we are not that level to implement the regulations properly. And the government should focus mostly on the green projects. Slowly, they should eliminate the unsustainable projects and unsustainable infrastructures, and need to ensure the transparency. Transparency in the data, transparency in the public fund allocation, reduce the corruption. And that's a big problem for the developing nation. We cannot ensure the transparency. And also need to ensure here private participation, stakeholder engagement, and more collaborations among the stakeholders, including the international collaboration, including the regional issues, because we cannot ensure the green economy until we cannot ensure the regional impact of the CO2. So to include the regional CO2 impact, we need to make a regional collaboration and a strong relationship and trustworthy relationship where we can trust the data of our neighbor. And then the recommendations for the business, we are still looking for the green initiative only the corporate level. If you look at the stock market, most of the organization, most of the companies, large scale industries is not reporting their data properly. Though we see the reporting of the GRI or the reporting of the ESG reporting, in the Bloomberg's data report, if you see, or your stock market authority data, the corporation is supposed to report 700 or 800 data on their environmental footprint. But they only report few data, maybe the overall score, environmental, social, or governance score, just overall one score, rather than individually inside in every parameter. And this data is a big issue here. And then if we give the initiative that financing, these corporations go for finance or their new project, or when they need the money, the finance should go through the green project, or they only can handle the green banking product in future. Then the business, for their future initiatives, future project, future investment, slowly they move towards the green issue, towards the circular economy or fiber. And here, if you see the industrial regulations for IR 4 or 5, this also need to include there, but it's still as an initiative. The policy here is just an initiative, and industry, still we look the larger scale industry, we cannot reach the SME or the micro scale. The larger scale industry has a grace period, and they try to take it very slowly. So here the business should focus on partnership, knowledge sharing, focus on industry and academia, and focus on more R&D, more innovation. They need to focus mostly on the technology import and adapt with the new technology and build their own capacity. And industry should look and work with the academia, so academia can produce the skilled people that's needed for the industry, for the new green projects, rather than the existing curriculum, existing workforce highly trained up on the non-green projects. And then the problems in the academia is we are trying to change our syllabus, adjust with the SDG. And if you see the curriculum on most of the area is still untouched. We try to add sustainability in the curriculum, maybe one subject or two subjects, but it's not embedded holistically. And unfortunately, our colleagues are also not aware about the overall sustainability. We think sustainability is just an idea. We just incorporate the syllabus separately, or we just look the circular economy, including how can we reduce the environmental problem or CO2 emission, rather than we are not focusing on our psychological changes. We are not focusing on our behavioral changes, which is very essential for the implementations of circular economy. Because here society is a big factor. It's not just only the money or environment or behavior. We also need to deal the human. All the society, the social factor is a big factor that we cannot produce data. So this factor, this aspect is still far behind, is still unmeasurable. So academia should focus on this issue. So instead of just developing syllabus for one or two course, rather than we need to focus sustainability practice in all the aspects of the whole syllabus, in every subject. And then,
Well,
yeah,
excuse me, Dr. Moito, to interrupt. You have 5 minutes remaining.
yeah, okay. I'm
Thank
watching.
you.
Okay. And then university academia, here the conference is the academic conference. The academia should look the issue, especially the research agenda. Their research should focus on the green issues and link the green issues. And there are lots of areas where the academia can focus their research and combine it with the sustainable practice. And again, I'm just highly focusing on the social science, the socio-economic impacts, which we cannot measure. So far, whatever we have the data of economic data, we have the data of pollution, we have the data, what we can measure, we can see. There's the other two issues. Though the data is still low, but we can monitor it. We cannot monitor the social changes, how much the inclusion happening, how much our behavioral change happening, how much we can already ensure the equity, gender equality, or our disparity in other aspects, including suppose the educational facility in the all over the society, and our behavioral changes. So business people or the academia should work on the social issues in their research, and they also work on the business because this concept is evolving. Sustainability, green, circular economy, these are still evolving. And then there is no standard parameters to assess the ESG or the green issues is still continuously changing and improving. So academia should work on this issue with the industry, and collaboratively they can work, and jointly through the research we can achieve the zero emission by 2060. And accounting is a big deal here. We must handle the data properly. Data, we should be transparent, and we try our best to improve the data. Otherwise, it's not possible. And then interdisciplinary research should be conducted, how to improve the climate change issues, how to improve the energy issues, how to improve the sustainability. And then in conclusion, I just want to say here, business supposed to not consider sustainability as a opponent of the profit, but rather than they should look, it's a scope of long-term profit. It's a scope for sustainability of their business. And the corporations will continue for long term if they practice sustainability. And now it is the investors, customers are aware about the environment, aware about the green practice. So those who start and invest in the green project earlier, they will become the pioneer in the industry. And they can create a strong brand loyalty in the market. So business should consider it as a scope of capturing the market as an opportunity rather than as a problem or challenge. There are lots of challenges there, but slowly, if they have the good leadership and high ambitions to achieve it wholeheartedly, they can do it. So I hope the academia can work with the industry, and then industry people also wholeheartedly become transparent and show how much they did and how much they can do. And through this, we can achieve the circular economy or sustainable economy or green economy. That's all. Huh? Thank you everyone for your patience.
Yes, thank you for Dr. Mahmudul for your insight presentations. Now we have 15 minutes actually for question and answers. So please, for all the participants, you can type it in the chat box. Okay, while we are waiting for the questions, I have some question for you actually, Dr. Mahmudul. Is there any potential collaborations, in particular in the academic field, between Malaysia and Indonesia related to research and human resource development, in particular maybe with your university, University Utara Malaysia?
Yes, there are lots of scope. You know, the ASEAN also give lots of fund for joint research, and there are also fund from the Erasmus fund and also fund from the Australian government and Canadian government. So they are also focusing on the environmental issues. So it's not only just one country, they look for the ASEAN. And when you submit a project based on the regional impact, that will help them or that will attract them because they want to see big impact rather than the narrow one scope. So whenever you show a big project or regional impact, you have high chance to get the fund. And they are giving the fund continuously. And in our university, we are also, I think almost all of the university are now implementing the SDG under university. So now in universities taking the initiative of SDG. So in that cases, we can collaborate the data. Even if you just look the syllabus, that's also a big impact. If you just develop the syllabus, how can we collaborate and develop the syllabus for environmental integration? The issue is so far our experience is first. Whenever we look the history. Rather than now, we need to look the future. We need to look 2060, zero. How can we achieve the zero emission? So until reach the zero emission, what should be the changes needed in our syllabus? That can be a good project, good research. And also our campus is not sustainable. How much emission we create inside the campus, that's also a big question. And universities try to monitor how much footprint we produce through our university campus. And that's also can monitor and collaborate jointly among the universities. So ultimately we can make a good project on that issue.
All right, thank you. Currently, some friends from the technical department, we are focusing on the renewable energy, actually using the sun and wind energies. And that's some of the key research in the state of Polytechnic Malang. And focusing, because you mentioned some curriculum related to curriculums concerning about the green energy, the sustainable energy. What subject actually that you have in your university really focusing on circular economy, focusing on the green economy? Is there any particular subject?
Okay, now that's the thing I mentioned. Our curriculum is not ready.
Oh, okay.
we all think is a subject.
Oh,
Only if we put one subject, one course in the curriculum, that is it's like a capsule. People will understand, but it's not. Sustainability. Suppose if we add a circular economy, it's only for the economic discipline. What about the business discipline? What about the accounting discipline? And what about those who are from the computer science? The issue should be integrated in the all the courses. Suppose I am the finance lecturer.
yep.
So we don't have any sustainable finance course yet.
Mm.
We are designing the course. How can we implement the sustainable finance, climate finance, or green finance in the curriculum? So and it's a long process developing the curriculum. It's not just one subject. Okay, it's still okay. Now I'm developing a course, sustainable finance, and then when we put the course, it will become optional subject, and not every student will take it. Okay, and then we have there is no scope, no room to incorporate a new subject in the core course. Maybe we put it in the optional, and it's not for the undergrad, and
All
the
right.
course goes for the master postgraduate level. So
Okay.
then that is like we have a sustainable program, but we put it on the top shelf, and most of our students has no access on that. You get the idea?
Yes.
In
So
that
it's
case, we should embed in the program. Every program, a graduate should have a project or a course completely covering the sustainability issue. It's not just
yeah.
economy only. The point is not sustainable economy.
So it's wider, eh?
In everywhere.
Yeah. All right. I think one last question is Dr. Mahmudul. So what we can do as the academia to increase the awareness of the students toward the sustainability.
Okay, there is club
Oh,
then
okay.
student or community engagement, or even including their sports activities or students competition. So if we bring the sustainability concept in our event organizations everywhere, then students will get it. And it shouldn't be, now we cannot engage it in our academia. Our syllabus is packed, completely packed, and it takes long time to embed something new
Yeah.
inside the syllabus.
Okay.
So we can put it in the extracurriculum activities,
All right.
to the competitions, and engage them in the extracurriculum activities.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Mahmudul, for giving us insight related more practice about the sustainability in the academia, because we are living in the higher institutions. Thank you very much. Oh, yes. Okay. We will move on to the second session.
Okay, thank you so much. There's no
Thank
more.
you very much, Doctor. Thank you. Really appreciate your sharing knowledge. Okay, next we will move into the second sessions with Dr. Elvia Sauki. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Suara saya kedengeran, Bu?
Terdengar Ibu jelas.
Oke, sip.
Yes, before we start, I would like to introduce you. Can I call you Ibu Elvia?
Of course.
Yes. Ibu Elvia Sauki, Dr. Elvia Sauki is a senior lecturer at the Department of Accounting, Faculty of Economics and Business, Universitas Indonesia, and a lecturer in financial accounting at UNISA Business, University of South Australia, between 2005 and 2024. She has awarded as the best lecturer in the Faculty of Economics and Business, University of Indonesia in December 2022 and received the Quality Teaching Award as a best lecturer. Congratulations, Ibu. The best lecturer in UNISA Business School in December 2022. The next year, in 2023, Ibu Elvia received award for top lecturer with best community service. And not just working in the academia, but Dr. Elvia Sauki also worked in the banking industry for almost 22 years. Her last appointment was working with Fortis Bank, Jakarta, Indonesia, providing trade financing for European companies and multinational corporation, MNC, project having located in Indonesia. So please, Ibu Elvia, you may start your presentations, and the allocated time for presentation is 40 minutes, followed by the Q&A for 15 minutes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My
Good
research
afternoon.
fellow. Yeah, can you hear my voice? Is that clear?
Yes, it's very clear, Ibu Elvia.
Yeah, okay. So I am very pleased to be with you today. So yes, my name is Elvia Asalki, and I will be with you. And Assalamualaikum to all research fellow, and
Waalaikumsalam.
also salam sejahtera for everyone. I was also pleased. I'm also pleased to inform you that in August 2024, I was also awarded as the best lecturer for the international program for FABUI. So
Wow, congratulations,
very
Ibu.
pleased. So now I got the Pasca Sarjana Best Lecturer, I got the undergrad and international program. So it's a lot of effort to do that, but
Yeah.
I'm pleased. Finally, it pays off all of the hard work. I'm going to share my files and I hope you can ask questions. Oops. Okay, so I hope you will have a lot of questions regarding my presentations. Just want to share. Where's my files? It's not there. Just 1 second, okay? I've opened this one. Sometimes you can't see it in your Zoom. Okay, share file. Yeah, this one. Yeah,
Yes,
can you see
start.
it now? Yes,
Yes.
okay, good. Okay, so this is my slides, and I already give it to the committee that you can have the copy of these slides. So my talk is about the role of accounting in circular economies. What can we do as an accountant? Okay, so what can we do as an accountant? If you have any queries, my email address is there. You can send me an email to communicate with me further regarding the topics, because this is a very, very trendy topic, very, very novel, and also a good issues for you to discuss. Before I go further, I would like to give you an outline of my speech. First, I'm going to talk about the introductions. Secondly, about the introductions on sustainability and the concept of value chains. And then I'm going to talk also about the sustainable business models and practices, the sustainable economies in a macro perspective. What is sustainable economies and the role of the circular economy in the sustainable economies? And also the role of accounting in circular economies. So my materials was taken from the websites of IFRS and also from the ACCA Global Reporting. As you know, ACCA is one of the accredited body who issue accreditations for us who is conducting the sustainable business, sustainable finance, to have the kind of certification. I just finished teaching this before in ACCA. So I took this, some of them from ACCA materials, okay? So first, before I talk about the circular economy, okay, circular economies, I would like to talk about the sustainability, the concept of sustainability and the value chains. Okay, so sustainability was introduced first time by the United Nations Brundtland Commissions in 1987. The United Nations Brundtland Commission say that whatever you do in your entity, in your organizations, okay, it has to meet the needs of the current generations and the future generations. You have to meet the needs of the current and the future generations. That is really important, whatever you do. If you take water from the soil, of Indonesia, okay, takes water, ambil air dari permukaan tanah kita, right? 5 ton liters, for instance. It is an obligatory for you that you need to put it back again to the soil. That's your responsibility, because we don't want the future generations is going to be affected by your current operations. And that is the concept of sustainability and sustainable development. Okay, so you have to meet the needs not just for the current generations, but also for the future generations. And then the concept of value chains comes, okay? That means for us to do that we need to meet the needs for future generations, then you have to fulfill, okay? You have to fulfill, okay, the needs for future generations. We need to conduct the business as not just business as usual. It has to be an extraordinary business, more than just business as usual, where our value chains must also be adjusted. Okay, previously, when you want to buy materials, you just buy materials from the cheapest one or from the easiest one. If you are in Malang, you buy materials from the closest one, maybe come from, Sidoarjo. That's the closest one, instead of buying from maybe from Kulon Progo. Just give you an example. But nowadays, it's not about just the cheapest one. It's not about the closest one to you. That's the concept of value change. But who else, whose suppliers that can give you with the most sustainable business to you? See an example of IKEA that was accused for not providing a great resources for their products because they bought from the suppliers that are not responsible towards the planet. So value chains, asalnya dari mana? So the resources of the product is very, very important. Not just about the pricing of the resources, but importantly, how the suppliers conduct their business. And this is why the business models might change, because we are not going to aim just for profit, the bottom line, but we aim not just the profit, but also give a good balance between aiming at humanity, okay, social aspect, improving the quality of the people, okay, protecting the interests of the people, and also protecting their human rights. At the same time, we are operating under the constraints of the environment. So the concept, which we call it as triple bottom line, 3P, are very, very important in conducting the business models. However, in 2017, the 3P becomes 5P. And why? Because of the introductions of SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, where we have 3P before, economic, environmental, and social indicators becomes 5 pillars, which come from people, planet, prosperity, replacing the profit-oriented goals, and peace and partnership. This comes from the philosophy that we get from the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Sustainable economies as a bigger umbrella. So we want to achieve the sustainable economies. Every country wants to achieve that sustainable economies. The economy that is sustained for everyone in terms of workforce, in terms of employment, in terms of inflations, in terms of climate protections, climate change, in terms of, a lot of other things. That's under the biggest picture of sustainable economies. Underneath is that we have what we call it sustainable business model and its value chains. Sustainable business model and practices and its value chains underneath what we have for sustainable economies. I give you an example, okay?
Excuse me, Ibu. It seems that the slide has not moved yet.
So this is still in online.
Yeah, it's still online.
Yeah, this is what the aim for. So what happens what happened is that sustainable economies is the bigger picture. Underneath is the sustainable business practices and its value chain to achieve all of the targets set up by the country. If we have agreed in Paris Agreement through its COP21 that we are going to commit ourselves to reduce the increase of the the temperature by 1.5 to 2.0 degree Celsius on average, that means everyone has to commit themselves towards the sustainable business models and practices. So PLN, who has a high reliance on coal, batu bara, they have to reduce it because otherwise that 1.5 to 2.0 degree is not going to be achieved. This is what we call it sustainable business practices in achieving sustainable economies. And the last one is how about the role for us to as an accountant in conducting this sustainable business practices, sustainable business models and practices through its value chains in achieving sustainable economies. And inside the sustainable economies, we have what we call it the circular economy. Advantages of sustainable business practices is that we have a better growth, of course. Everyone is going to they're very pleased, very happy to work with us, okay, when we have the sustainable business practices, a better growth, a better return, because we get a cheaper fund rather than for not conducting the this kind of business practices, sustainable business practices. Cost of capital, very competitive cost of capital, cheap cost of capital, easy to get access to cost of capital, easy to get new loans. So better growth, better return, better partners, better strategic alliances, better number of consumers, and it's going to have also a better risk management in doing so. So the impact of the business society are also going to make them better in terms of, like the climate change, the emissions, the waste managements are going to be managed better instead of for not conducting sustainable business orientations. Importantly, when we talk about the carbon offsetting issues, okay? So what is a carbon offsetting issue is that activity that conducted by the company to offset the carbons. This is one of the emissions. As you know, emissions, we have about like 3 types of emissions. One of them is carbon emissions, carbon dioxide emissions. Is to offset them. This is also in order to achieve a better quality of the human beings, kehidupan manusia yang lebih baik lagi once we consider these 3 embedded all together when we talk about the economic, the financial return, when we talk about the limited natural resources, and also for a better life of the people, okay? So sustainable business models and practices is when we create that our goals are not just to satisfy the need for shareholders, but our goals are going to satisfy the stakeholders, the stockholders, at the same time also public at large, and also at the same time how we create value among everyone. So this is what we call it. We move from shareholders' value to shared value when we share it with the society, and then we move it to system values when we consider the ecosystem as a whole as our goals. So the business model has to be designed optimally. What are the aim of our businesses? Is it mainly for getting profit? Is it mainly by using ESG to get profit? Or is it because the profit is embedded in the ESG in order to give impact, or what else? That's something that you need to conduct and to moderate and to modify your business goals in order to achieve your goals according to the 5P that I have mentioned earlier. So the business model canvas is a tool that enables business models to analyze what are the best business models, most suitable business models that can be applied to the entity. Importantly, in the business models, we are introduced with the concept of product service system, PSS. So previously, in the traditional method, we just provide product as long as someone buys it. So we just produce as much as we can, okay, regardless whether it's going to function well, whether it's going to contribute to the society or not. We just produce it traditionally as much as possible. But the concept of PSS, which is very, very important in the development of sustainable business models, where we produce a product focusing on the functions of the product being offered rather than the product itself. PSS is a self functionality, not product. So for instance, if I'm selling a car, I have to be very, very flexible. The car is not just for the passengers to be used as a mode of transportations from one locations to another locations, but this car is going to be used, okay, as also a mode for them to, like doing helping others or renting. When you look at this one, benefits from their use. Car provides transportations. Consumer needs transportations, may decide to purchase a car, or the consumer could lease the car for them to lease it to others. Yeah. So as a leasing company, rent a car and borrow from a car from car sharing services, or when you ride share. Now it's very very common that we have a ride share business providers where they can provide the cars to ride share together with others. They put it somewhere and then we take the cars and then we ride it together and then we put it back in Melbourne. It's very easy to find this kind of facility. So this is what we call it, the PSS, which is going to increase the revenue and profit of us, the car producers, also for those who use the car for their own businesses. This is also going to reduce the waste. It's going to offset the carbon way better. Cost saving is going to be created from there, okay? So also, PSS business tend to be labor and relationship oriented because it depends on the needs of the customers, okay? Depends on the creations, the designs according to the needs of the customers. And that's the reasons it can go way more efficient because it meets the needs of the consumer. Talking about this one, also talking about the reduce waste due to the improved end of product life cycle strategy, increase incentive to minimize energy consumptions and things like that. Well, if you have done the sustainable business models and value chains, okay, what we aim for is to get a better economy, okay, as a whole. So circular economy then comes to circular economy, okay. Traditional economic system, goods are produced, used, and discarded. Okay, you buy toner, okay, you are a BPR, Bank Perkreditan Rakyat, you need to have toner for your printer, you buy toner, you finish, you throw it away, okay, in the landfill, tempat sampah, tempat pembuangan sampah sementara atau tempat pembuangan sampah akhir. You just throw it like that. And then you said, well, there is someone who's taking care of my rubbish bowl, so I don't have to take care of that rubbish. That is the traditional way of thinking. You produced, okay, then you used it, and then you discard it. You consume, you purchase, you used it, you discard it, then dibuang. That's traditional. But nowadays, this is the concept that if you do it, you will be left behind, ditinggalkan oleh semua ekosistem. If you do that, if you think that someone is going to take care of your rubbish, of your waste, then that is a incorrect way of thinking nowadays, that you might not get partners for your businesses, you might not get consumers for your businesses, you might not get cheap funding for your funds and things like that. So what do you have to do? The waste from this system that includes plastic, textile, baju bekas, baju seragam, and then food and electronics is typically dumped in landfill, dibuang ke tempat sampah just because you think someone else is going to take care of your rubbish. This is the traditional economic system. But with the circular economy, we promote for every waste that you have needs to be recycled. Okay, class? So what does it mean by to be recycled? It has to be recycled, reproduced, redesigned, remanufactured for the purpose of others to use it, whether it's going to be used as a resource, as a direct materials, as a resource of their productions, whether it's going to be consumed as an end product, doesn't matter. Whether you have the technology to do it or whether you don't have technology to do it. BCA has 47 ATM all over Indonesia, 47,000 ATM. Automatic teller machine around Indonesia, 47,000. So if they have to replace the toner for their ATM, the one who printed your balance, like every time you took the money, you can imagine the mountains of toner from just one bank. This is why now BCR, not just the BCR, but a lot of others have now worked according to what we call it the economy. So what they do with the total, I give you an example of BCR, for instance, when they get this discarded, finished, okay, don't throw this to the landfill. They don't dump this to the landfill. So what they do, they cacah, right? They potong-potong into pieces, jadi bubur toner. Okay, so they don't know what to do with this, and they don't have the technology. When they can work with others to produce something else, then the bubur toner can be used as any other different materials. Maybe that different materials will be used by BCA, or it can create another revenue generations for BCA for them to get the money. Okay, so this is the concept of circular economy. Nothing is wasted. Everything is recycled, reproduced, redesigned, remanufactured for the purpose of ourselves or someone else. Chandra Asri, for instance, okay, give you another examples. They collect plastics bags around their manufacturing area, their productions area, and bottle plastic, everything according to the requirements, criteria, and then they produce asphalt out of this jalan, asphalt untuk bikin jalan. Okay, there's a technology. Maybe they don't have the technology. Maybe they have the technology. If they have, then they produce it themselves. Otherwise, you can ask someone else to produce it. This is what we call it the circular economy. Eliminate of waste and the continual use of natural resources. Try to eliminate the continual use of the natural resources. Products and services are designed with reuse or recycling built in, or products are manufactured in a way that allows disassembly and either the reuse materials for future productions or the breaking down materials by nature. If you visit the hotels in Jawa Timur, in Jawa Barat, in Jakarta, a lot of area, that bench, the bangku receptionist, okay, meja receptionist yang digunakan for us to greet us gitu. Halo, ada yang bisa dibantu, right? Something like that. Selamat sore, Bapak Ibu. The desks are mostly produced from plastic waste. Okay, so the plastic waste are remanufactured in order to make the beautiful table coming from the waste of plastic, and we can buy that technology in a cheaper cost. Okay, you can distribute this to the companies and things like that for your CSR if you work in a company, then to also recycle the products. Transitioning to a circular economy, Ellen MacArthur Foundation is one of the most prominent organizations leading transitions to a circular economy. Diagram next, developed by foundations. The green items on the left are renewables and the blue items on the right are finite materials. Okay, so what does it mean by renewable and non-renewable? Renewable means that it can be replaced by productions and things like that. Okay, so apparently when you want to produce something, you can also include what is reusable, renewable, and plus something that is ready to. This one, the green one, is going to add to the manufacturing process. Yes, going to add to the manufacturing process in order to produce and to recycle all of this stuff. Okay, I give you an example. My project, community engagements, that got a best award, is when I asked the household in Nusa Tenggara Barat, the whole provinces, because I travel from Lombok Barat, Lombok Timur, Lombok Utara, Lombok Tengah, and also Mataram, okay, to travel and educate the household to process their organic and anorganic waste, memproses sampah organik dan sampah anorganiknya, right? At school, I teach them to collect all of the plastic waste, and for them to get free SPP, misalnya, right? And also nenek-nenek, lansia in all of the provinces or around provinces in West Nusa Tenggara, I asked them to put them in the what we call it, tong composter. Tong composter is going to get that to get the sampah organiknya, and then we end up with having some pupuk liquid dan also pupuk yang padat comes from the and mix a maggot. Okay, maggot is going to be produced as a pakan ternak, and also it can be used as any different types of things. This is when we use this as the circular economy. So sustainability economy as an economy that is resilient and class, I have to emphasize this. If we conduct sustainable business practices and its value chain, then we aim for sustainable economies. We are going to be resilient, more resilient than others. Tangguh. Karena apa? Because we can generate other products, other needs, and we can also generate income, and we are not going to make the future generations suffer because of our current operations. Resilience and provide good quality of life for everybody. Maybe not necessarily to your profit, but it's going to make a better life for human beings. And also, it's going to create also a better life in terms of climate, in terms of the increased in the suhu udara yang kita ciptakan. So I'm going to say it to you like this so that you know you do understand about the role of accounting in here. Okay, what does it mean by circular economy? Okay, so for instance, you put the manufacturing on this one. Okay, circular economy is when you produced and or you purchased. You can produce, you can purchase. When you produce and purchase, you have to use a process, reduce process waste. I teach the UMKM warteg in Bekasi. Okay, we have about 105 warteg in Bekasi. How they manage the waste, okay, in terms of sisa makanan, okay, food waste and food loss. I educate them with the group, of course, not just me myself, on when they buy the materials, it has to be a good material so that yang dibuang nggak terlalu banyak. Tapi kalau kita beli garbage in, garbage out, so then we throw a lot of garbage outside. Okay, so that's the reasons why when we want to choose these productions and purchasing materials, you have to think about the food waste or the material waste that is going to be thrown, to be dumped to the landfill. This is very, very important. You have to reduce the process waste. This is one of the circular economy by reducing the waste. Secondly, also when you consume and you used it, or when it goes to the value chain, because it's hulu hilir, right? Then you have to optimize the life cycle through alternative consumptions. Okay, whether it's going to be use it as a recycle one, like a plastic bag. When you want to make it stronger, it can be used like 100 times longer than before. Okay, or if you want to use, if you want to dump your seragam clothes, when you want to reproduce it, okay, things like that. When you consume it, it has to be used as in a much better consumption. So you can see it here: produce, purchase, consume, and use, and collections and processing, and muter-muter kayak gitu, right? So everything what you do in here, and then at the end of the day, nothing is going to be dumped to the landfill. Nggak ada yang dibuang ke tempat sampah. Semuanya kita gunakan. How about if you have cable, electricity cable, kabel-kabel listrik, colokan yang sebanyak apa, right? And you want to use that. And then finally it gets expired and you want to dump it. Don't throw them in the bin. Don't throw them in the landfill. What do you have to do? You recycle them. You produce them. Make it as a bubur and things like that. And you can produce another type of electricity for you to be used for others or for yourself. Yang penting tidak ada waste yang dibuang keluar dari sana. Mengikuti, right, following this process: productions, purchasing, consumptions, collections, and processing. Everything needs to be recycled. Kalau ada yang keluar, if you have to dump it, it's going to be really, really small. And this is why when you travel to Bandung, and then you stop in several hotels, nice and niche hotel in Bandung, you will see a lot of signs in Bandung nowadays with the notes that we throw garbage this day, today, 28th of September, 28th of August, just 28 kilograms. And yesterday was 29 kilograms. Everyone is in high competitions not to throw rubbish to the bin, not to throw rubbish to the landfill. Everyone tried to reduce their waste into a zero level. This is what we call it: net zero emissions, net zero waste, net zero everything that you call it, in order to achieve that zero level. Okay, that is the concept that we agreed to be achieved by everyone around the globe by 2050 to reduce it by to zero. That's what we call it, the concept of net zero, because of everything is going to be reused, recycled, redesigned, remanufactured all the way along like that. Not just by ourselves, maybe by the help of others. Okay, I hope you can see the process how we use the circular economy. Now, with regard to the role of accounting, there are two types of accounting that can be used in order to explore circular economy. The first one is for financial accounting. The other one is for management accounting. Okay, so the first one is when we produce sustainability reporting. If we produce sustainability reporting, this kind of process must be disclosed in your sustainability reporting for public purposes, also for investors' purposes. Okay, so what do we mean by sustainability reporting? Is that you report to others on how good you are, that you try to circulate in terms of the waste that you have, in order to achieve what we call it the net zero emissions, net zero waste, net zero water usage, and things like that, because you have reduced the waste as minimum as possible. Accounting plays a crucial role in sustainability reporting, which is very essential for the circular economy. Through integrated metrics, we have to measure it, okay? So, for instance, Aqua Danone, okay, Danone, if they take out 5 ton liters from the soil, they have to make the commitment that they're going to put back the 5 ton liters of water into the soil. Well, the more, the better. Okay, through what they call it the water management. This is what we call it the recycle. Okay, ngambil air ya mesti ngembaliin. Kalau nggak sustain bisnisnya, right? So they do 3 types of water management. They do what we call it the water efficiency, water circularity, circular economies. Okay, digunakan lagi, sampai nggak ada yang waste. And yang ketiga adalah dengan menggunakan water validations. So this is one of the things. You have to measure how much water you have used. And then the second one, how much water or activities that is going to repay back. It's going to put back the water that you have taken. Then you need to have the help of the scientist, maybe not accountant in this case, on the activities that you have conducted. Misalnya masang bipori, terus masang ada reboisasi and things like that. And the scientists will measure on how much water will be replaced to the soil in order to replace the water that have been taken from the soil. That is what we call it the sustainability reporting of the first task of an accountant in terms of financial accountant. Okay. The second one is for management accounting. Okay. So the second and third are for management accounting. Okay. So management accounting, we talk about the cost accounting and life cycle analysis. Okay, cost accounting and life cycle analysis. And life cycle and cost accounting analysis is when, just 1 second again. Cost accounting and life cycle is when we talk about the life cycle cost. Okay. Cost accounting techniques that help in determining the true cost of products, including environmental costs, life cycle analysis, and help business understand the full environmental impacts from the products. Yes. So anyway, if you conduct this life cycle analysis, it's very popular in management accounting called LCA and the cost accounting. This is management accounting, okay? Then you know exactly how much the cost for you to recycle this and to make this. Is it worth it to do it? Okay? Is it not going to occupy and going to deduct your revenue, for instance, in a significant way? So the knowledge for you to calculate about the true cost of products when you recycle this, when you conduct the circular economy activities, it's going and the impact to the society. This is what we call it the cost accounting and life cycle analysis. The third one is the knowledge on measurements and valuations. You know that IFRS introduced IFRS S1 and S2, okay? Where in IFRS S1 and S2, the fourth core content is about metrics and targets. So metrics and targets can be used for you to calculate how much the waste that you have, that you produced, okay, emissions that you have, and how do you mitigate this by conducting what we call it the emissions reductions, okay, reduksi emisi in Indonesia. And that is something to do with measurements and valuations. And you can do that with the help, of course, with scientists for certain measurements. And then you can compensate so that to tell everyone that you have achieved what we call it the net zero emissions or net zero waste emissions. Okay. So class, to conclude, transition of circular economy is essential, penting sekali for achieving sustainable development goals. Okay, and the rules of accounting, management, and businesses are intertwined, ya, saling bertukaran in this process. Accountants provide data and insight needed to track progress and make informed decisions. Of course, investors would like to see whether you throw a lot of waste or not, okay? Whether you throw a lot of emissions or not to the society. And that's the reasons why you will provide a better information to stakeholders for them to make a better decisions, for them to make informed decisions, for them to make a better decisions. Managers integrate sustainability into strategic directions and business innovative and collaborative to implement circular economy. So anyway, not just we try to avoid the waste being dumped to the landfill, but importantly, it's for economic efficiency. So everything is going to be reproduced. Ya, sisa baju seragam. Oke, jangan dibuang ini. Sisa baju seragam dibuang nanti ke laut. Oke, nanti mencekek kura-kura. Tapi sisa baju seragam, kabel listrik, colokan listrik digunakan lagi untuk produksi yang lain. Bisa jadi meja, bisa jadi bangku. Sisa baju ini bisa jadi batu bata, ya, eco bricks and things like that. That is the concept of circular economies, and we need to have that role in terms of three things. The one that I have mentioned earlier, providing sustainability reporting, and then also the life cost analysis, and also measurement of the environmental costs and impacts. And the third one is on the methods and measurement. So I hope that I give you enough informations. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Thank you, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Ibu Elvia. Well, we learned a lot, I think, from your slides, from your explanation, exactly 40 minutes. We have two questions actually in the chat box. One is from Sylvie Zulaikha. Okay, I would like to read this question. I would like to ask about artificial intelligence and sustainability. Some companies focuses on to use AI to improve sustainability and enhance decision support system to give some visualization data about business activity and environment impact. But on the other hand, AI consumes a lot of energy and produce different type of waste. How can the use of artificial intelligence in enhancing circular economy practices be balanced with the challenges it presents, such as high energy consumption and increased electronic waste, to ensure sustainability decision-making system? This is very interesting question, Ibu, related to AI and waste. So waste is not just the garbage that we dump to the soil, but also related to energy. So
Energy emission.
yep.
Yeah, well, the most important thing it's nothing to do with the AI. It's not the mistake of AI, of course.
Yep.
It's the mistake of us who use the AI not efficiently.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't blame the AI. Okay, AI will help you, but excessive use of energy without making a good balancing with, so the cost and benefit always applies, regardless whether it's AI, whether it's going to be innovative engineering, or whether it's going to be, you know, all these things, inovasi yang terbarukan, whatever. Semuanya dasarnya harus dari a good balancing on the cost and benefit of everything that we spend on every dollars that we have. So it's nothing to do with the AI itself, but the one who use the AI excessively for not maintaining a good balance between the cost and the benefit, that is the main problem. Okay, Ibu. So Mbak Sylvie, am I answering your questions? Okay, well, the thing is that with AI is that also, I mean, I agree the usage of AI is really good, but also importantly, I mean, if you don't use AI, you use computers, it's just the same, right? So also the energy that you wasted is just the same. So again, if the energy emissions that you used is the same without AI, okay, then why don't you use it? Okay, as long as the ethical issues are maintained really, really well. The most important thing is on the ethical issues. Okay, yeah. So not the AI is not right. It's just the way we used it.
Yes. Yes. Well, I agree with this, Ibu. Thank you. And the second question is from Ida Ayu Budananta Munidewi. She's interested in the topic of discussion regarding food waste. Last month, I watched NHK in Japan. Food waste become a big issue, and they are changing food waste become paper. It's interesting. Or, for example, carrot skin and its leaves become tempura. Wow. And in Indonesia, of course, we should pay more attention to food waste. According to you, what is the best way in Indonesia to manage food waste? You mentioned many times about food waste based on the research you have done.
Yeah, terima kasih. So we have to differentiate between food loss and food waste.
Okay.
Food loss is lost during the process,
Yeah.
and food waste is when we have already produced and no one eats it. Okay, so because I got this community award, community engagement award, because conducting a good kind of effort to teach, to educate warteg in Bekasi. Well, of course, I need to go to Jakarta, but I haven't done it. I've just tried with the Bekasi one. It's about 105 warteg. I asked them, okay, so Pak Bu, how do you manage the food loss? Of course, I have to explain it to them because we are in a different level of knowledge, right? How do you manage food loss? Okay. And also similar questions asked to the restaurants, for instance. How do you manage food loss? When they said like this, oh, I buy the kangkung, last day of last hours of pasar. So the kangkung is jelek-jelek, Bu. Okay, kangkungnya jelek-jelek, layu, and things like that. Tapi murah loh, Bu. Yes. But then I asked them, how about the food loss? Because loss during the process.
Yeah.
So in my educations, I always teach them to buy the best materials for them. Maybe a bit more expensive, but at least they reduced the loss. Also, for the food waste, I asked them, how about during weekend? Do you sell as much warteg nasi and lauk-lauknya, the same amount during the weekdays? Okay, so do you differentiate between weekdays and weekend and things like that? So I tried to discuss with them, do you also persuade the customers, Bu, saya kasih porsi kecil, nanti kalau kurang nambah lagi ya, things like that, right? Do you also persuade, this is what we call it nudging theory, persuade others to nudge, yang ngikutin cara berpikir kita, then things like that. Oh, enggak, Bu. Okay. So, and then others is that, don't think that someone else is taking your rubbish, your garbage. Because if everyone think, nah kan sudah bayar 50.000, Bu, ngapain aku mesti mikirin sampah? Okay, things like that. Pikirkan tentang keracunan makanan dan toxic waste yang muncul untuk kesehatan kita. So itu di level warteg, ya, right? In the hotel, a lot of hotels now they opened PO for the breakfast facility itu 9:30, nggak jam 10, 9:30. Sisa makanan yang ada di counter breakfastnya itu dijual separuh harga.
Oh, right.
Itu sudah banyak aplikasinya, app-nya udah banyak sekali, right? So kita bisa beli makanan 5-star hotel dengan harga 50% lewat app itu. Itu ngurangin jauh sekali food waste-nya. Dan kalau ada keluarga yang lapar mata, bukan lapar perut, right? So they take so much in their plates karena itu makanannya gratis, karena itu kalau sarapan pagi kan bisa. Itu harus ada persuasinya. Saya bicara sama Hotel Sheraton di Bandung. Pak, kalau ada yang ngambil banyak, dibilangin. Nanti kalau bersisa, saya sediain kontainer. Kontainernya juga dari yang ramah lingkungan ya, kardus atau box. Boleh dibawa ke kamar. Atau kalau anak kecil kita kasih tahu, jangan ngambil banyak-banyak deh, nanti kalau kurang ambil lagi. So kind of education needs to be done in order to reduce the food waste. Okay? Jadi sekarang sudah ada inisiasinya setiap hari ada papan tulis yang ditulis kita membuang sampah sekian kilo. Itu Hotel Ibis.
Oh,
Itu Hotel Haris.
that's great.
Bukan promosi, tapi itu yang terjadi.
Oh,
Kalau kita tinggal di hotel yang seperti itu, Hotel Haris tuh nggak ada sama sekali plastik loh kalau kita masuk ke Hotel Haris. Nggak ada satupun peralatan yang mereka miliki itu bau-bau plastik. Jadi kalau kita masuk hotel plastik semua, jangan nginep situ lagi.
hmm,
Sikat giginya kayu,
hmm,
ya. Terus kemudian botolnya botol beling. Oke, semuanya dari kayu, semuanya recycle. Itu adalah mereka yang sudah lebih familiar dengan pengolahan limbah dan lain sebagainya. So, sekarang masyarakat Indonesia sudah lebih pinter ya.
yeah.
Am I answering your questions, Mbak Ida Ayu? Kayaknya ini mahasiswa saya nih, Mbak
Oh,
Muni Dewi ya. Mbak, apa kabar Mbak? Menjawab ya
Baik,
pertanyaannya.
ya, baik
Menjawab ya.
Ibu.
Menjawab
Ya,
pertanyaan.
terjawab. Ya, good insight for you. But interesting to do some kind of research of food waste and also food loss because Bali is also will be
Ya,
concerned about that.
ya.
Yeah, thank you Ibu. Maybe I need your help for the next time.
Ya,
Thank
ya,
you.
ya. Oke,
yeah.
oke. Ini Mbak yang kemarin sama Bro Malik ya?
Ya,
Oke, oke, sip, sip. Oke,
thank
nanti
you.
kita ngomong lagi ya.
Ya, thank
Sip,
you Ibu.
sip.
Okay,
Baik.
thank you, Ibu Ida Ayu. We still have some questions actually. It's from Musfianti, how to connect digital transformation with sustainability issue in the financial sector. Well, we still have some question, Ibu. 4 questions
Yeah.
left.
Ya, digital transformation with sustainability issues. Digital
yeah.
transformations. Misalnya apa ya? Saya juga pengen tahu tuh digital transformationsnya misalnya seperti apa ya?
Yes, please, Ibu atau Mbak Musfianti, you can open the mic.
I use my assumptions again because maybe mbaknya nggak di sini, it's not here. I think with digitalized or transformed into digitalized operations, okay. Of course, I mentioned earlier, if you go for any innovative operations, any innovative activities that you want to conduct, incremental risk is so important. Ya, the risk, tambahan risiko untuk tambahan activity yang ada. Jangan sampai so that the increase in risk is higher rather than the increase in benefits.
Right.
So if you do conduct digital transformations or tadi pakai AI, everything, you have to think about the incremental risk. It has to be as optimal as possible. Risknya tambah sedikit untuk benefit yang lebih banyak.
Yes.
Jadi, it doesn't matter. You want to use the digital transformations, every bank does, okay? But the most important thing is just try to optimize in terms of that incremental risk. Ada lagi from
Yes.
Ibu Dayu, yeah,
yes,
right?
Ibu Dayu. Yeah, it's about ESG, environmental, social,
Yeah.
and governance metrics. What challenge might a company face in assessing non-financial aspect, such
Yeah.
as resources use? How
Yeah.
can accountant help
Yeah.
overcome these challenges?
Yeah, the challenge is on the data. Datanya terserak-serak, scattered among different units, different divisions. So they're not in one divisions. Dulu kan keuangan pusatnya, right? So bendaharanya atau bagian keuangannya tahu cash flow-nya selisihnya berapa, and then you have to calculate what is in and out, things like that. Di keuangan aja udah beres, right? Tapi sekarang kan bukan hanya dari keuangan saja, right? So it comes from different departments, different units. So for instance, when you conduct the human resource activity, okay, human resource activity, this is something that is so important. It will come with IFRS, maybe number 3, 4, 5, because S1 and S2 has been introduced, coming soon on S3, S4, and S5, talking about human resource, human capital, and biodiversity, okay? So if you talk about the human resource, for instance, the challenge is there. How do we collect information? This is something not coming from the finance department, but it comes from the human resources. It comes from the HSEE, okay? The safety, environmental, and things like that. So HSE, and it comes from any different. So you have finance department has to knock the door of every door in the company. What do you do? What did you do last semester, last year, so that I can make a report? Because the report is not just about quantitative figures, but also about qualitative figures. Okay, so in that case, I have to knock the door. A list of activities, not necessarily they spend money, but for instance, menjaga kualitas daripada udara supaya tidak mengganggu ISPA, saluran pernapasan, and things like that. Maybe you don't spend any money. Okay, menjaga this. So it's a lot to do with qualitative and quantitative figures. You have to knock it and to knock the door to get that information. So the challenge number one is on scattering of the data. The number two is how to quantify this into the financial report, because you have to connect this to financial report in terms of the financial effect to your cash flow, to your balance sheet, and to your P&L. Okay, so that is the challenge. So data is scattered. Number two is to measure it, to measure them. This is why FRS said that in that transition relief, they said that it's all right to have qualitative data until you are ready to do so. So then we get like 1 year transition relief, and then everything needs to be monetized. Financial effect needs to be measured. So that is going to be the second one. So there are some challenges, of course, data and measurements. Okay. Yeah, Ibu?
Yeah, we still have two questions, Ibu. It's from Ibu Rosi Zandra. What is the role of the management accounting in circular economy? So how we maintain our cost and productivity while we have to maintain also circular economy in the productions and still keep enhance the profit?
Yeah, we do have two types of role of accountant in terms of management accountant. Tadi ya kita bicara tentang LCA, life cycle cost analysis, and also in measuring the environmental cost and also the environmental impacts. That's role number one. And also number two is on the measuring and method. Itu adalah role number two daripada management accounting for circular economy. Very important though. Whenever you want to spend any single penny for your circular economy, yeah, you have to think about the cost and the benefit each time you do it.
Yep.
If you can't do it, you ask other company to do it. For instance, kan nanti kan kita harus ada net zero emissions ya, by 2050 semuanya harus nggak ada lagi waste lagi, nggak ada emisi yang terbuang lagi, semuanya harus dikompensasi, zero.
Yep.
Produced, compensate, produce, compensate.
Yep.
Kebayang nggak? Kalau kita nggak punya knowledge-nya, kita nggak ada biayanya, right? Dan things like that. So, if you don't have the knowledge, you work with others.
Yep.
You don't have the technology, you work with others.
Yep.
But others that are responsible, not just any other company. Nanti kan create another problems lagi ya, betul nggak?
Yes.
Jadi kita harus mikirin, atau jangan-jangan mengeluarkan emisi lebih banyak lagi gitu. Kita mengurangin emisi jadi lebih banyak lagi, and things like that. Itu dia.
Okay. Thank you, Ibu. Yes, thank you. We have the last questions from Ibu Arika Mayanti, which is related to SDG goal number 5, which is gender equality, including diversity. If we accept SDG, does not this mean that we accept the promotion of LGBT? So what is your comment, Ibu?
I just had a training with UNDP 2 weeks ago. No, not 2 weeks ago, last week, with UNDP in Bandung for 3 days, taking train for trainers on human rights. Okay. If you do not agree with LGBT, that's fine. We are not promoting LGBT when we disclosed it in our report. Itu yang paling penting ya. Kita tidak mempromosikan LGBT kalau kita disclose. Yang kita disclose adalah kita tidak melakukan diskriminasi kepada mereka yang terpinggirkan. Dah, itu jawabannya. Jadi kalau
Alright.
kita disclose bukan berarti kita promote. Kan kita nggak mendukung. Kita boleh nggak setuju, tapi kita menginformasikan kepada khalayak ramai, we inform to the wider society that we are not discriminating LGBT and mereka yang terpinggirkan, misalnya Ahmadiyah, misalnya macam-macam lah, dan seterusnya itu. Because you are not allowed to discriminate people by their sexual orientations. Itu urusan mereka dengan Tuhannya. Kita bukan ustadz yang mau ngajarin mereka kembali ke jalan yang benar. Kita perusahaan yang tidak boleh mendiskriminasikan orang karena perbedaan yang ada di dalam badannya. Okay? I hope I answered your questions. Okay?
Yes, thank you for answering all the questions. If you have any further questions, you can ask Ibu Elvia directly because she provide email address. So is that okay if because it seems that your topic is very interesting, Ibu. So
Yeah.
raise questions, many questions from the audiences.
Yeah,
Okay.
siap.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ibu. Thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and sharing your experiences in community services. So hope it will inspire us also to do the same thing for our community services. Okay, we will move on to the third session, which is the last session. Okay, the last session will be with Dr. Wahyu Jatmiko. Dr. Wahyu Jatmiko is an assistant professor in banking and finance at the Southampton University, UK. He also served as a senior researcher at the Center for Islamic Economics and Business, Faculty of Economic and Business, University of Indonesia. Dr. Wahyu earned his PhD in finance and master in Islamic finance from Durham University. And he was also the chair of the Indonesian Economic Society in the UK, or we call it MES UK, in 2019, 2021, and be the executive secretary of the Indonesian Association of Islamic Economists atau IAEI from 2021 to 2023. He, as an associate fellow of the Higher Education Academy, his teaching expertise spans sustainability finance, climate finance, and Islamic banking and finance. So welcome, Dr. Wahyu Jatmiko. So how are you? Thank you for joining
Dr.
us.
Nur Indah. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for inviting me.
Thank you very much
Such a
for
pleasure.
joining us today. It's a pleasure for us also. So please, you may start your presentation for 40 minutes, and then it will be followed by the Q&A for 15 minutes. Time is yours, please.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Nur Indah, for
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay. Should I start now or? Right.
Please,
okay.
you may start now.
Yeah. Okay. So because there's a big sound, something like that. So
All
yeah.
right.
Okay. All right. Okay. Hello everyone. Again, thank you very much for having me. Such an honor to be here. To be, yeah. To present one of actually my my current view about sustainability. So might be a bit different with the previous presenters that have excellently provide insights and knowledge about the sustainability and how it relates with accounting, with business, etc. In this occasion, I would like to share with you more towards how actually the sustainability is incorporated in the firm, but through the lens of the institutional logics amongst the, if you like, the agents involved in the corporate ESG itself. So it might be, more towards management kind of field, but as mentioned by the moderator, by the chair, my background is actually finance, sustainable finance. So you might find a little bit kind of link between my presentation with management, with finance as well, and few other field, I would say, including even organization and sociology. So this is my work with a colleague from Qatar University, Hussam Smoy, and of course, a colleague from Universitas Indonesia as well, Nurdani Hendranastiti. So this is just the outline of my presentation. I will, start with motivate the study and then give you straight the key takeaways. So you do not need to be, waiting so long in my presentation to actually catch the key takeaways. And then I'll, explain about data and methodology. Even though before data and methodology, I will talk a little bit about the development of the hypothesis there. And then, of course, results and discussion as well as conclusion. So the motivation is quite simple. The previous presenters have talked quite, clearly about the growing kind of practice of sustainability into business as well as non-business, realm. In terms of a corporation, we know that ESG become a very, well-known, widely used terminology to actually, labeled a firm or measured a firm with respect to their initiative towards sustainability, right? If we see the statistic over here, we can see how, for instance, Europe, the United States, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, as well as Japan, actually have quite, massive increase in the adaptation of ESG or a sustainable fund. And then what this slide talks is actually my emphasis is in how it is not really only phenomenon in the developed economies. If you can see the developing economies there, even 60% of investor in the Asia Pacific, they expect to incorporate ESG in their investment portfolio analysis. If we see the sustainable bonds or sustainable Islamic bonds, for instance, or Sukuk in ASEAN, it's also exponentially growing by 185% for the sustainable bonds, and then even almost 300% for the sustainable Islamic bonds or the Sukuk between 2016 and 2020. So the growing concern in industry have been there. Whilst we in academics, of course, see it through the lens of the some possible theories. This phenomenon can first, of course, according to the shareholders theory, the very old business as usual theory, coined first time by Milton Friedman in 1970. It wasn't actually an academic journal. It was like a paper in a newspaper. So he said that the only business of business is doing business, right? So we didn't business, corporate responsibility, social responsibility comes from how they pay tax to the state, to the to the country, and then the country will then disperse it as a public goods, right? So business, the fiduciary duty, obligation of business is just making profit. so that it can maximize the shareholders profit, hence shareholders theory, right? But of course, we also have a growing strand of literature saying about the stakeholders theory, that the purpose of business, of course, the primary purpose is for financial sustainability, but they also have the obligation, they also have moral kind of duty to deliver to the environment as well as to the society, hence stakeholders theory, right? So in line with other theory, if we think about shareholders theory, the consequence of going ESG for the firm, they might incorporate something, or they might have initiatives that is not really income generating activities, meaning that they will deliver suboptimum kind of profit to the shareholders, right? But if this is the case, there will be like a negative relationship, if you like, between going ESG and the value of the firm, right? Because of what? Because, again, the resources that the firm has, they are not really utilized in the optimum way. On the other hand, if we talk about the stakeholders theory, we link it usually with resource-based view when we are talking about how going sustainable, incorporating stakeholders, not only investors, but non-shareholder stakeholders can actually become, unique internal resources that can sustain the competitive advantage of the firm to outperform the peers, right? So this is a resource-based view. Of course, you also have the legitimacy theory that says why this firm going to the sustainability is because they try to actually seek legitimation from the society, not only from the shareholders, but also legitimation from the customers, for instance, legitimation from the debtor, from the government institutions, etc., or even NGO, right? So they have this kind of, position to actually legitimate themselves, and because the preferences of the society always, not always, but continuously changing, right? So what happened is that they, considerations towards sustainability also needs to be, to be performed more heavily right now rather than before, right? So this kind of debate in the theoretical framework is there, right? When we are talking about whether those sustainability kind of initiatives coming from the firm can actually deliver good firm performance, right? And if we take a look the literature, empirical literature about this, we can also see how each kind of theory has its own support from the empirical perspective, right? But in this study, we would like to emphasize a particular puzzle. What is the puzzle? The puzzle is that there are so many papers, right, saying that or documenting that the ESG is actually conducive to firms' financial performance, meaning that when firms actually have like higher ESG score, if you like, they will have a better financial performance, right? Meaning that the ROA or ROA or ROE or even other measurement of profitability are actually increasing as the firm going, towards more incorporating the ESG, right? So in this case, of course, it is very much in support of the stakeholders theory, right? But on the other hand, you will also easily find studies who illustrate that investors often neglect to factor in higher ESG performance into the firm's evaluation, in the sense that what happened is that the higher the ESG score, the lower the firm value. So let me clarify here. We have two concepts: firm financial performance, fundamental performance measured by for instance, ROE, ROA, etc. But we also have this firm value measured by, for instance, Tobin's Q or price to book value, right? So the Tobin's Q, price to book value, in a way, it reflects the expectation of investors, because it's by construction, it is formed by calculating the market value, meaning the market kind of value of the firm, right? Whilst the ROE, ROA, they are actually measuring the fundamental performance of the firm. It's accounting performance of the firm itself. So if the efficient market hypothesis holds, right, and then it should be in this kind of level of strength. So at the very least, when investors know that ESG is actually increasing, when ESG increases the firm performance, so the firm valuation should be higher, right? But what happened is that this link is not there, right? On the one hand, the high ESG delivers high profit for customers, for firm, I'm sorry. On the other hand, high ESG score lowers firm value. It's not really easy to uncover why this is the case, right? So one of the possible explanation is coming from Laura Starks, the then president of American Finance Association. In his presidential address 2023, for those who really keen with sustainable finance, ESG, etc., I would recommend you to read her piece there in Journal of Finance. So she says that much of the confusion in ESG, she meant, is due to differences in whether motivation arises from value or values, singular or plurals. That is, from regarding the ESG qualities of investment as important to its financial value or as consistent with one's values, meaning values beyond finance, right? So if you go towards, if you see this, different values, multi values there within one analysis, it's gonna be very difficult to only use the traditional agency framework, theory, right? Because Desjardins et al., for instance, says in their terminology, this is a very simplistic view, right, of ESG simply a simplistic view of the relationship between principal and agent, right? So that's why we would propose here to use the institutional logic theory to fill this gap. And then what is institutional logic theory, right? So in the institutional logic theory, we uncover that the agents involved in corporate ESG, they not only, considering, or they're not only about, a rational kind of agent who would like to maximize their financial profit, be it managers through their tenures or the shareholders through their profit, for instance. No, because economic agents, they have different behavior formed by their distinct assumptions, values, beliefs, and rules. So that's why later on I'll show you, even within the spectrum of investors, there are investors who actually really much traditional investors. They would like to get as high as profit possible, but to the other extreme, you will also find investor who seek for impact rather than merely, financial returns, right? So these spectrums are there in investors, not to mention between investor and managers, between investors and state, for instance, investor and customers, etc. Right? So this is why we use the institutional logic framework to uncover the puzzle in corporate ESG. So the question is quite simple, actually. How can institutional logic theory enhance our understanding of the relationship between ESG performance and firm value, as I mentioned before? And another question is that because the literature says that this logics can be temporary, right? These logics can actually changing between one time another, hence it's dynamic instead of the static assumption embedded in agency theory. So we would like to also ask, is there a temporality dimension of institutional logics on the ESG firm value relationship? So these two questions are, our main research question. So what is the takeaway? The first one is that the market logic continues to dominate corporate ESG practice in the global south, because later on we'll explain why we will, only focus on the developing economies rather than developed economies, or the both combined. And the second one, yes, we observe there is temporality dimension of logics in the corporate ESG, right? For instance, the first dimension is that ESG from value nexus differs between the period up to 2019 and post 2019. I'll explain why we choose 2019 here. It's not a deliberate choice. It is a choice that based on our observation towards the data. And then the second one is the negative relationship between ESG performance and firm value that is, documented in the first key takeaway is actually transient. It's actually temporary. The nexus can be positive later on as the impact of ESG towards firm financial performance become more evident, right? So this is, if you like, the key takeaway. So basically, if you only look for the results of my study, you are free to go now. But if you would like to see the details of it, first I'll go to the theoretical background over there, because what is actually the institutional logics? If you see the institutional logics, you need to go towards the what is actually the institutional orders, the actually orders who influence our beliefs, our values, our assumption towards something, our worldview towards something, right? There are quite a few, 7 until 8 institutional orders, documented in the literature. But here we only focus on 3: market, community, corporation, and state. Let's see market and community. By community here, it is included there the customers, for instance, of the firm, or the NGO, for instance, or the lobbyists, etc. That is the community there. You have market, you have corporation, and you have also the logic of the state. I'll just get the core values for each. For instance, the market, the value of market is value free and competitiveness, right? That's why when we talk about LGBTQ plus just now, the last question in the previous session, we talk about the business. It's just reporting, right? It's not endorsing nor discouraging, right? Because of what? Because it is assumed to be value free. Market core values, they don't have values. What is their values? Their norms is self-interest, right? As long as this reporting LGBTQ plus, if we go towards that direction, is good for the transparency of the corporation, it gives signal that corporation is actually doing inclusion towards the minority group, etc. Let's go get it. Let's incorporate it, right? Because of what? We don't have value, right? Our value is to actually get as much as profit possible, right? And then in terms of, for instance, community, the core value is equity and common goal. Of course, they have the common goal. Now, for instance, customers, for instance, when they have been seeing like a lot of injustice in the war in the Middle East, for instance, and calamities in Middle East, Gaza and Palestine with Israel, for instance, many of them have been like boycotting, right? Some big labels, big corporations, including Starbucks, for instance, including many things, right? Why? Because they have this feel of equity and this common goals that they would like to actually realize in the world, right? So if they don't have values, they will be just fine to still drink the Starbucks every 9 a.m. in the morning, right? But because they have value, they try to not. They substitute Starbucks with, for instance, kopi kenangan. For instance, in Indonesia, we don't have kopi kenangan, of course, here in the UK. So that's values there, right, in the community, right? It tells you when it comes to the ESG community, of course, has its own logic, right? They want corporation to go more towards preserving the environment, towards promoting the societal equity, for instance, etc. Right? So these institutional orders, they influence both investors and managers as well, if we put it through the lens of the agency theory, right? So you will have lots of things going on behind in the back of the mind of the investors as well as the managers in that case. Now, this is what I told before, right? When we are talking about investors and we try to not make it, not simplify the spectrum of investors, we see that investors have actually differences. There are like traditional investor who the dominant institutional logic is just market, right? Profit, profit, and profit, right? Maximizing profit at a certain risk, or reducing risk at a certain profit, right? Or you have also the classic ESG investors. The literature suggests that this classic ESG investor is actually the same. The dominant institutional order is market, but the majority seeks greater than market return, even though a few agents there welcome slightly below expectation, but it's very few, right? So if you like, they are a bit okay to reduce their profit in order to screen out the sin corporation, for instance, the tobacco company, for instance, the weaponry company, for instance, etc. Right? They exclude all of them because of their impact, etc. Right? So this negative screening is there, and then you have also positive screening is there. By definition, if we go towards Markowitz logics, the reduction of the universe of your investments gonna make you worse off in terms of risk diversification. But because you are a classic ESG investor, you would like to invest only in the good ESG stocks, right? But still, your main logic is that I am doing this because this is the most profitable way of doing business right now, because people coming to ESG investment, etc. Right? So logics of market is still there. But when it comes to socially responsible investors, even some are willing to accept close to the market suboptimal risk-adjusted return in exchange for non-pecuniary outcomes, right? So they would like to invest in, for instance, government bonds or government sukuk, for instance, right? Because the projects are actually developing sewage in a very far area in the border of Indonesia, for instance. This socially responsible consideration is there, right? It's maybe as compared to other projects, the return of other projects is much better, but you go with the current project. Why? Because you would like to be more socially responsible. At the end of the spectrum, you have impact investor whose main logic is community. They want to invest, they want to be sustainable in terms of finance, of course, but their main goal is actually to actually increase the impact towards the society, positive impact towards the environment, etc. Right? Now, if we see the empirical literature about this, many of the firm, unfortunately, many of the investor, unfortunately, are in traditional investors and classic ESG investors, because their motivation is more towards signaling, like, you make a signal to the other stakeholders that you are socially responsible, rather than this is by definition your social preference, right? So again, if we come back to our theory, it might be the way of the legitimacy theory works, right? Because you would like to be legitimated by the society, so you signal to the society that you are pious enough, you are actually going towards ESG quite a bit, right? And here, right, because of that fact, because of that evidence, we would propose the hypothesis that the ESG performance, if so many investors are traditional and classic, they will actually penalize firm for going towards ESG, even though the activity ESG initiatives are actually positively related with the financial performance of the firm, right? Again, this is the whole background that I explained, discussed in the outside of this in this presentation, right? So this is the main hypothesis. The second one is about the, if you like, the evolution of the logics, right? If you see how managers actually view the ESG, you can go to UNGC report from 2007 until recently in 2023, you can see the contrast, because those reports come using also the okay, I only have 10 minutes, so I'll make it quite quick. So for short, if you can see there, after 2019, managers, this is global managers we are talking about, trying to actually now, what you call it, embed or incorporate the consideration of the social responsible, or not only social responsible, but ESG consideration into their business practice. It's not only about getting the best talent, because this was the case in our before 2010. Between 2010 and 2019, this is about repent to actually recover from the bad label they got after the financial crisis of 2007, right? Because they were severely affected, their reputation were severely affected because of that, right? But because later on I'll talk about it, because our data only covers starting from 2013, we can only test between 2019 before 2019 and after 2019. Try to establish that there is different logics there. Lastly, I might not go towards much detail in the data, etc. Lastly, it's about the non-monotonic taxes, right? We then test, because the literature suggests this evolution of the short-term and long-term reaction of the investors towards the ESG. We then propose that the negative relationship between ESG performance and firm is transient, because the nexus between the two will become negative as the impact of ESG performance and firm financial performance becomes more evident. So because investor then learned, okay, so this ESG turns out to be positively impacting the firm performance, financial performance. So then, okay, investor becomes more, more appreciating, right? The way toward the initiatives, done by the firms towards ESG, right? So this is just the data. You can, just read it later on probably. So, but why developing economies? Because only 47, as compared to 53% of investors in the global South, consider the reduction of social inequality and injustice to be important by GEFE, and about this one is compared to 72%, sorry, for the global North. And then, but on the other hand, the pressure on managers to play a bigger role in ESG is higher than developed economies. So 77% as compared to 63%. This is, I think, a very what you call interesting kind of puzzle as well between the two. So that's why developing economies is better. I won't go this far. The methodology is there. We use Baron and Keynes methodology, and then we also try to see the non-monotonic regression, to see the transient logics. We use the random effect panel regression, but we also use the instrumental variables to SLS to actually, ensure that we are not affected by endogeneity issues there. So this is our variables. You can see later on, and then the result, the baseline result of our regression. I'll just please give me 1 minute for this. So when Tobin skew, as you know here, is representing the dependent variables, this is representing the firm value, right? And then you have we have this ESG score, ESG separately as well, and then we have ROE. This is the most important variables here. I would like you to focus on this, right? When we talk about the first stage, right, the ESG is negatively impacting the firm value. Tobin skew is firm value, right? The higher the ESG score, the lower the firm value. This also applies for this E, S, and G dimensions separately, right? But when it comes to the relationship between ESG and its the three dimension towards the ROE and later on ROA, right, we'll see the positive relationship, or at least there is no negative relationship, right? Because the logic is that if the firm value become negative because of ESG, this is because investors see ESG is bad for the firm, and then by bad, the firm, financial performance is lower than before, right? Before incorporating the ESG, but that's not happening here. What happens is that the higher the ESG, the higher the financial performance, but the lower the firm value, right? And then we try to see whether this financial performance is actually mediating the role. So have a mediating role in the nexus between ESG and Tobin skew. What happened is that this arrow is not significant at all in influencing this Tobin skew here, right? Because this is the setup of the Barnes and Kenny methodology, right? So that happened. The second one that I would like to give you is that this one. There is the result that turns out to be non-linear in the sense that, yes, that happened in the short run, but in the long run, if you can see here, what happened is that the sum square of the ESG turns positive, meaning that this graph's happening. There is like the optimum level, not optimum, the minimum level of the firm changes in firm value due to the changes in ESG performance. So if you like, after if you have if your corporation score now is 40, right, until 57, right, it's gonna be harmful for your corporation, quote unquote, if we're talking about firm value, right? But after 57, when your score now becomes 58, right? It now gives you, right, a good relationship between going towards ESG performance or increasing your ESG performance and firm value. You can see here, this is even become positive after the 25th, right? So this is our results. So I have so much to say, but unfortunately, the time is limited. I still want to have a question and answer. So I'll hand over to the moderator. Thank you very much for listening.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Wahyu, Pak Wahyu. So, there is one question in the chat box. It's from Putri Ayu. The question is, what are the implications of competing institutional logics on the effectiveness of corporate ESG strategy? How can companies?
It's a very good question. Yeah. Thank you very much, Putri Ayu. Very good question. So it's very relevant. Unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to go to the implication of the study, but we mentioned there that because of this, what happened is that the managers who would like to actually already have the logics of the community to go towards ESG, then they are hindered by the the investors kind of a preference to not going towards ESG, right? So if you see so many news right now, investors now try to move away even from ESG, right? To be completely honest, why? Because of the greenwashing, etc. Right? So that happens when the investors really don't have the full information about actually the impact of ESG itself towards the firm performance, right? That's why in our recommendation, a good like a corporate channel, right? Like good PR from the corporation. It is not for greenwashing, but for really establishing the relationship between you going towards ESG and the firm performance needs to be developed and needs to be deployed to the relevant stakeholders.
Yeah, the question actually continues. So how can companies balance financial performance with social environmental responsibilities?
Yeah, actually they have already, as mentioned as observed in the result that our study suggests. The issue is that the investor did not appreciate it yet, right? That is the issue. The managers have delivered it well, meaning that they incorporate ESG whilst also actually improving the firm performance, right? Even though of course you can actually debate that this is accounting performance, it's prone to earning management, and this is prone to window dressing, etc. You can debate that, but the fact is that ROA and ROA, they have the same robust relationship here with the ESG score. The higher ESG score, the higher ROA, but the lower firm value. What happened is that after sometimes when the investor know already exactly what's happening, that it's delivered positive relationship, so investor turned from negative to positive. So it's just a matter of time actually. The manager have delivered that well.
All right. Okay, we move on to the next one, Pak Wahyu, from Elsa Panduwinasari. The question is about ESG again. How does ESG performance impact the valuation of value firms compared to growth firms, and what factor should investor consider when assessing the significance of ESG factors in the valuation of value-oriented companies?
Yeah, yes, it's very good. Thank you very much, Alisa. And unfortunately, our study our study doesn't separate between value firm and growth firm. Unfortunately, we think that it's not really, if you like, at the current design of our study is not really impacting the result, but it's a very good I think it's a very good suggestion. We'll look at whether there is like heterogeneity between the growth of firms and value firms. Yeah, definitely, it's very good comments.
Yeah, thank you. And the last one is from Dr. Mahmudul. Would you inform which sector and size of data and which estimation method that you use in this study?
Yeah, I mentioned a little bit, but probably very quick because of the time. So the sector I didn't mention, all sectors except for financial sectors. That is the sector. The size of data, it's the period is 2013 until 2022. Right, the firm size data is 5,100 from year observations, and then the estimation used, I mentioned about First, we use of course, the setup is Baron and Keynes methodology. We use the random effect model, panel regression for the baseline regression, and then we use the two instrumental variables, two stage least square to address for endogeneity issues there.
All right. I hope your question has been answered, Dr. Mahmudul. Yeah, I think so. Okay, thank you, Pak Wahyu, for sharing your research, and
Thank you, my pleasure.
thank you very much. And thank you also for joining us.
One thing, Doctor, did you
Oh,
publish
oh
the
yes,
article?
yes, please, Dr. Mahmudul.
And did you publish the article?
Oh, not yet.
Not yet.
Fingers crossed. We
Okay.
try to we try to sell it. Including we've got a few comments. We got good comments from some conferences, from this conference as well. So yeah, fingers crossed. In upcoming, I mean, we plan to submit it this month to a particular journal, but not yet.
Okay, I understand. One thing is in your data, your output, you're supposed to not show the R square because this is the panel study. Panel study R square is not actually meaningful. So you just omit it from the output table before you submit the journal.
And why is that? Is not meaningful, Doctor?
Because for the panel, R square is not meaningful at all. Okay. R square is meaningful only for the time series data or the cross-sectional data.
And why is that?
It's for statistical purpose because that actually doesn't represent.
Because I have published so many papers using panel data and still reporting the R square. I will look at the literature whether R square is not really relevant here, but so far my publication always put R square, even though we use panel data. Thank you for the comments.
What are the data sources here? From where you collect the data?
Yeah, we have all of them in our paper. We collected here. If I can't see here.
Bloomberg's?
So we don't use Bloomberg. We use the Refinitiv data set. Let me share you this because this is very relevant. Yeah, this is just for so that you can see it in this one, right? Variables and the data.
Data
source.
Oh, okay. Use the Refinitiv. Okay. Okay, that's okay. That's fine. Maybe we can collaborate later on.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Why not? Look forward to it.
Okay, thank you so much. And also, Dr. Indah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So
I'm looking for email address too, so later we can be in touch.
yes, inshallah, we will. Okay, thank you for all the speakers. We are now in the end of our conference. I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to all speakers and participants for contributing to a meaningful and insightful discussions on the circular economy. There are some insights, if I can put some important points. First, sustainability covers large issue. It includes business and non-business issue, including academia, which can take part, because we working in academia world, we can take part through curriculum development and concerning sustainability issue. And from Ibu, there is one important message from Ibu Elvia. Please reduce, reuse, recycle. Please consider to future generations, return back of what we got from the earth back to the earth. To be net zero waste, to achieve better growth, better return, better customers, and better waste management. And from Pak Wahyu, we need to, there is one sentence which is I really interested, values beyond finance. So it is important to balancing financial performance and social and environmental responsibilities. So it is clear that accounting, management, and business practices all play crucial roles in achieving our sustainability goals, and your participation today show a commitment to bring a positive change. I'm sorry, but due to limited time, all the questions can be answered. Again, A special thank you to all speakers for their engaging presentation, very interesting presentation, and of course, to all of the participants for your questions and contributions. We hope you found this conference valuable and look forward to seeing you at the future events. Have a great day. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And I return to Arham as Master of Ceremony.
Thank you, Dr. Nerinda, for leading the keynote session. And for the next agenda, we are going to look at the after movie of the 6th AMBEC.
Kalau untuk diterima, apakah pertanyaan penelitian itu harus spesifik?
AMBEC tahun ini adalah AMBEC ke-6 tahun 2024 yang diawali mulai dari tahun 2019 untuk AMBEC 1. Harapannya dari setiap tahun maka AMBEC ini akan bisa menghasilkan banyak publikasi-publikasi dari para peneliti-peneliti baik itu dosen maupun dari mahasiswa. Sukses terus AMBEC dan sukses terus untuk Pontianak. Terima kasih.
Menurut saya acara ini materinya sangat bermanfaat untuk kita yang mau publikasi buat nanti kalau udah lulus dari S2.
Ya, kalau dari saya sendiri juga sangat mendapatkan banyak tips dan trik dari Bapak Dr. Agung itu sendiri. Jadi ya acara ini sangat bermanfaat, semoga bertemu di AMBEC ke-7 2025.
Sampai ketemu di 7 AMBEC 2025. Polinema, jos!
Now that we've seen the after movie, we are going to take a picture all together. All participants, please turn on your cameras and smile for the shot. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Say cheese. Next, we are going to look at the 5 best presenters, which will be announced by Dr. Nurafni Eltivia. Dr. Nurafni Eltivia, the time and place is yours.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, I congratulations for all researchers who have disseminated their research result at the 6th AMBEC in 2024. And now I will announce the best presenter for the 6th AMBEC 2024. There are 5 rooms, so there are 5 best presenters, and I will announce them one by one. Okay, can we start it? The best presenter from room 1, Ms. Aisyah Tiar. Ms. Aisyah Tiar, improving service quality of University of Al-Azhar Indonesia's management program using quality function deployment. The best presenter from room 2 is Ms. Nadia Fida Wijaya. Title of paper is Designing a Business Model Using the Business Model Canvas Approach to Formulate EMC Strategies. The best presenter from room 3 is Ms. Sabina Maharani Sumbai. The title is The Influence of Brand Image Promotion, Product Quality and Price on the Consumer's Buying Decision of Ion Sushi Product on Klang Valley area. And the best presenters from room 4 is Grace Sheila Florencia. The effect of financial knowledge, financial attitude, self-control, and perceive is of using e-wallet on financial management behavior of Gen Z in Malang City. And last but not least, the best presenter from room 5 is Ms. Ari Kamayanti, studying accounting and its role to students' characters, a graphologist perspective. Well, I will congratulate for every best presenter in 6th AMBEC 2024. Congratulations. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nurafni Eltivia, and congratulations for all winners. And now, I am going to announce the winners of the best questions. Number 1 is Ida Ayu Budananda Munidewi. Number 2 is Musfianti. Number 3, Dayu Alif Nur Maharani Akbar. Number 4, Rosi Zandra. And number 5, Ari Kamayanti. Congratulations for all the winners. Each winner will receive e-money. Please contact our committee and Amanda to claim the rewards. Lastly, thank you for joining us in this conference. Thank you for all the committees for the hard work so that this event can run smoothly. May this conference bring many benefits to all of us. Participants, please do not forget to fill in the attendance list. The link is provided in the Zoom chat. The link will automatically close 30 minutes after the event's ended. Only participants who filled the registration form and the attendance list will receive an e-certificate. E-certificates will be sent to your email address. As we conclude this event, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all of you for your contributions. May the knowledge shared here makes a positive impact on the world. I hope all of you and your families well. Thank you for being a part of this wonderful event, and see you again on the 7th AMBEC next year. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
yang diawali mulai dari tahun 2019 untuk AMBEC 1. Harapannya dari setiap tahun maka AMBEC ini akan bisa menghasilkan banyak publikasi-publikasi dari para peneliti-peneliti baik itu dosen maupun dari mahasiswa. Sukses terus AMBEC dan sukses terus untuk Polinema. Terima kasih.
Menurut saya acara ini materinya sangat bermanfaat untuk kita yang mau publikasi buat nanti kalau udah lulus dari S2.
Ya, kalau dari saya sendiri juga sangat mendapatkan banyak tips dan trik dari Bapak Dr. Agung itu sendiri. Jadi ya acara ini sangat bermanfaat. Semoga bertemu di AMBEC ke-7 2025.